a little bit of time. My name's Stefen Pirs, and I'm the Global Editorial Director of this company, Dialect, which is a content marketing agency. I don't know if you're all familiar with that term, probably you are, but just to give you a sense, it basically means my job is to organise the creation of loads of great content for loads of big brands, kind of in place of advertising. So we're not so much about online advertising, we're about creating content, videos, articles, photography, websites, applications that deliver big brand messages and tell their stories. We find that's the best way to engage with consumers. We're based here in San Francisco, in California, and in London, England. I'm based in London. And these are just some of the companies that I've worked with over the years and that Dialect works with now. And here is some of the work that we currently do. So on the left, you'll see GeForce.com, which is NVIDIA, their website, their key website. We create a lot of content for NVIDIA. NVIDIA are a graphics card manufacturer, perhaps you know them. In the middle, you'll see an app magazine on iOS and Android, which is a Dungeons and Dragons magazine called Dragon Plus. And then on the far right is, again, an app-based magazine and news service for Electronic Arts, EA. You're probably familiar with them, a big gaming company. And that's called The Sims Mag, and it's aptly about The Sims video game. So it's all about content. So basically, Dialect creates world-beating apps, websites and editorial. We're about beautiful media and all about engagement and making it measurable so we can see what people like and don't like. We're all about, millions of customers, retaining lots of customers, grow passionate audiences, people that are really interested in certain key things, and we drill really deeply into that stuff. And for me and for the company, it's all about customer engagement, getting people really infused. So basically, we increase brand loyalty, drive sales, and we change perceptions, which is kind of why I'm here. So I was asked to think about Kazakhstan as a brand. Now, I know nothing about Kazakhstan. I've never been to Kazakhstan before. This is my first time. It's fabulous. I love you all. But I had to think about how it could be marketed effectively to the West and to Europe. I'm obviously from the UK, and my perception of Kazakhstan is vague, to say the least. But I also wanted to examine some of the Western misconceptions or preconceptions about what Kazakhstan is and what it stands for. So I decided to speak to some people that I know, some people that work in the media, some people that work in the city, some people that are related to me. I won't tell you who they are, but my mum and dad are in this, and I got them to tell me what they thought of Kazakhstan. And there we go.
My knowledge of Kazakhstan is a bit sketchy. I'm ashamed to say I don't really know very much about it.
Honestly, I don't know very much about Kazakhstan.
I'm guessing they speak Russian.
I think it used to be part of the Soviet Union.
I think it's probably quite hot.
I'd guess it's a Muslim country.
I think it's quite a small country.
Kazakhstan? Don't know much about it.
I don't really know where it is on the map. I think it's probably near to China or Russia.
I get the impression that the economy is probably based on agriculture.
I think it's a little bit run down.
And quite barren and cold.
What do I know about Kazakhstan? Weesh.
Sort of near Russia, I want to say.
It's got two very large lakes.
Around that area, I'd imagine it's got oil.
It's got to be near Afghanistan.
Where exactly is that?
It's below Russia, I believe.
I imagine that Genghis Khan was probably in charge of it at some point. Was it Genghis Khan? Not quite sure.
A lot of people that ride horseback and have sort of traditional ways of life.
I've always thought it was quite flat.
Is it mountainous? It's probably mountainous, up in the mountains somewhere.
largely peaceful and democratic. I'm not aware of any wars or conflicts going on there.
I really don't know it. That's me just basing it on nothing, really.
I've got some very good friends in this country from Kazakhstan. I found they're very nice people to work with and extremely loyal and friendly.
That's all I've got.
I've never actually heard of Kazakhstan. Or have I? Yes! I visited Almaty a couple of years ago and enjoyed horse meat, camel milk, and also horse's milk. Although both the camel and the horse's milk taste rather strange. Thanks, bye.
Right. So, as you can see, the people that I know, and these are all genuinely my friends and family members, don't know a great deal about Kazakhstan, which is interesting because, you know, people here today and a lot of you guys are thinking about marketing Kazakhstan to the West. Now, these people are not, how can I put this, smart people like you guys who know, you know, I've heard some of the talks today, very, very smart, know all about geography, know all about economics, know all about politics, know all about this stuff. These are just normal people. But what they are, you know, they work in the media, they work in the city, there's a few, you know, they have no clue. No clue. I cannot emphasize that enough. Anyway, so I had that learning, and I thought, because of my job, I'd apply some basic brand building tools to Kazakhstan, based on my limited knowledge of Kazakhstan, and kind of see what questions were provoked by doing that. But first, I'd just like to sort of maybe refresh our minds what actually a brand is. So this guy, real smarty pants, very clever, Richard Koch. He's written loads and loads of books around branding. A powerful brand can only operate on a very narrow wavelength. Not necessarily just to one product, but certainly one set of values, one type of target customer, one character of service, one type of emotion. For a brand to work well, it must be simple and transmit a simple message. Very, very important. For me, at Dialect, and the way I work with brands and services, you know, it's a relationship between a customer and a company. It's a promise to that customer that you'll deliver a service, and a good service, time and time again. And if you're looking for brand loyalty, it's about trying to own that relationship with your customer to the exclusion of the competition. But a brand only really exists in the customer's mind. It isn't the way that you deal with your customers. It isn't your website or your logo or your product. It's people's perception of what you do. I don't like the phrase, but it's used a lot in the West. It's about the warm fuzzies. It's the way a brand makes you feel, which is intangible and very difficult to put a finger on it. Why something's successful and something isn't. Why you feel very strongly about X or Y brand and don't feel so strongly about another one. It's difficult. Are any of you familiar with this brand? Hands in the air? No? Not really. Okay. Well, I could have picked Coca-Cola or McDonald's or one of those really, really well-known brands. This is a brand called Comme des Garçons. It's a French name and it's a Japanese company. Now, Comme des Garçons it's a fashion label. It's been running since 1969. It was founded by a Japanese visionary called Rei Kawakubo, and it's one of the most important fashion brands on the planet. And it's an avant-garde fashion label, okay? It's way out. So if you guys are going out for dinner tonight and you went to Comme des Garçons to buy an outfit, if you're a lady, you'd probably look a bit like this, okay? And if you're a guy, you'd probably look a bit like this. So you might think that Comme des Garçons is a very small brand, you know, quite niche, only for, you know, individual amount of customers. But actually, Comme des Garçons since 1969 through to present day has launched all of those different sub-brands, loads of collaborations. They've got 230 storefronts and franchise outlets. They're in London, Tokyo, Paris, annual turnover of $250 million. And they rarely advertise. They hardly do any advertising at all. They associate their brand with the right media, the right collaborators. You can see there Supreme. I don't know if you're familiar with quite a famous skatewear label. Pharrell Williams there, I'm sure you know. He's launched a fragrance recently with Comme des Garçons called Girl. Converse sneakers do collaborations with Comme des Garçons. They tell the right stories, and as a consequence, they manage to own the concept of cool globally for many, many consumers. Excuse me. But it all exists in the customer's mind. So they don't really own cool, because cool doesn't exist, does it? It's nonsense. But they've got $250 million a year that says otherwise. This is the lady that founded the company, and when she started the company, she didn't want any mirrors in the shops. She thought it was better for people to feel good in the clothes than to actually look at what they look like, to decide on clothes based on how they felt in them rather than what they looked like, which seems a bit bizarre, and yet it's led to a very, very successful business. So I show that example really because it emphasizes the idea that the brand lives in the mind. It's important and needs fostering, and it can lead to great success. So it's not always the Coca-Colas and the McDonald's that you should necessarily use as a template. But just following on, what I'd like to just talk about now, as quickly as I can, because I know we're running a little bit over, are 8 elements of brand storytelling and what they could mean to Kazakhstan. So I'm mostly going to give you a lot of questions here, but there's some stuff to think about, I hope. So number 1 element of brand storytelling is purpose. This is another smart guy. Every brand makes a promise, but in a marketplace in which consumer confidence is low and budgetary vigilance is high, that's a mouthful, it's not just making a promise that's important, but having a defining purpose. And the brand's purpose is the differentiator between you, your brand, and the competition. The functional purpose of your brand is to earn money. The function is to pay your mortgage, to buy a home, to keep your employees happy, and you know, everything that goes along with the basic functions of running a business. The intentional purpose of your business is to think about other things, doing good in the world, trying to make a bit of a difference, trying to make people happy, trying to add to the conversation in your particular chosen vertical. IKEA, I hope you're all familiar with IKEA, the furniture company. They say their purpose isn't just to sell furniture, but rather to create a better everyday life. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know, but that's what they say it is. It's not just about selling, it's about doing a bit of good. It's not just about making money. Which makes you sort of think, okay, what's the purpose of Brand Kazakhstan? You know, there are loads of places that potential investors and talented people could go and earn money and be surrounded by great technology, innovations. Why Kazakhstan? Could the brand be angled around some of these things? Could the brand's theme embody some of these elements that Kazakhstan's kind of rich with, right? So the geography, the geographic benefits of it, where it's positioned, the people, the passion for the people. I've met lots of people since I've been here, and they've been enthusiastic and interesting and passionate, and they've said lots of things that I don't understand, but brilliant. You know, is it the culture? You know, rich cultural history, the education. I've heard a great deal about the education, the financial benefits, which I think everybody knows, or is it something else? And then if you define the brand further, you have to start thinking about what the branding looks like. You know, what does the branding look like for a country? What's the brand personality? What does it say? And just as important, what doesn't it say? How does this translate into the messaging? And then what stories does it tell? Because stories are key. Stories keep us, everybody, irrespective of age, engaged. It's just some stuff to think about. Consistency, number 2. Number 2 of 8. You haven't got very long to suffer me. Coca-Cola, at a glance, you know what it is. Apple, you know what it is. You just see it instinctively, you know what it is. Nike, of course, same thing. Comme des Garçons, that's the brand I was talking about earlier. Very, very similar. Lots of simple lines, non-serifed fonts, lots of the colour black. it looks quite exclusive. It looks like a club. It looks like something maybe you want to be part of, or maybe you don't. But it looks kind of niche and cool. It's got a great brand, great visuals. It's not just design consistency, though. You need to think about the brand personality. How do you communicate and what do you choose to communicate? And this goes right down to little things like your social media and your tweets and your Facebook and all those kind of things. When you add a new photograph to your Facebook page or your Twitter account, you know, what does it mean for your company? What does it mean for your brand? Or is it just something you thought was funny? It's important because every little piece adds up to the whole. So action points for brand Kazakhstan might be, in my view, to centralize operations, control the messaging from one place. You need a chief content officer, you need an editorial director, you need a creative director, you need a vision. And all that vision needs to go into a style guide, which tells you how the design works, what colors, what fonts, how you choose to write. And video, of course, video, animation, any kind of creative aspect, all needs to be, all needs to follow a rule set in order to be recognizable. All needs to be consistent, because consistency means brand recognition, means customer loyalty. Number 3, authenticity. You are the brand is you. It can't come from anywhere else, it can only come from the people associated with it. GoPro is a brand that I've worked with at Dialect, very interesting company. They make video cameras to go on your head and you jump off and ski and do lots of stuff. All about excitement. It's all about skiing and throwing yourself out of planes and, well, you can see, can't you? That kind of thing. From a small startup, they've become a very big media company. So almost inadvertently, because the consumers do the activities, film themselves, upload it to social, and all of a sudden they've got a massive media community of people trying to sort of outdo each other and do the most risky, crazy, bonkers things that they can do. And it's all around this, be a hero, be heroic. You know, that's their theme. That's their brand theme. That's what their customers do. That's what their customers upload. Fabulous. Totally works. Authenticity. It's very highly prized now. I don't know. I mean, it's very highly prized in the West. I'm assuming it is here. The right bags, the right shoes, whether your bread is made in an old-fashioned way. Look at that bread there. Look at it. Look at the grains on the picture. It looks like it's been manufactured by hand. It hasn't, but it looks like it has. The proper shoes, the proper drink. Look at the Jack Daniels. It's like it's made in the same way that it always has been. Authenticity. It's why we choose certain products over other products. Genuine. But Kazakhstan's all about authentic culture. There's loads of culture here. All you've got to do is mix maybe the rich cultural history, the authenticity, the tradition, people that live the brand, which I've met loads of, tie that in with the future of Kazakhstan tech culture, and it's all good. Emotion and belonging, number 4. People have a basic psychological need to feel closely connected to others. We all know this. Caring, affectionate bonds, major part of human behavior. And this totally works for brands as well. Why do people pay thousands more for a Harley Davidson when they could pay less for an equally good motorbike? It's because somewhere there's a little voice whispering, buy a Harley, buy a Harley. Why? It's because customers aren't always rational. Harley Davidson uses fabulous emotional branding that's all about belonging and becoming part of a club. They've got a brand, an owners club called HOG, H-O-G, Harley Owners Group. It connects customers with the brand and with each other. Makes customers feel part of a larger group. It makes them feel that buying a Harley Davidson is the right choice and really the only choice as a premium motorbike manufacturer. Brilliant. Brand Kazakhstan can do this too. Give your customers peace of mind. Make your customers feel like part of a family, insiders in some way into your world. Do you make life easier for your consumers? You know, emotional triggers like these strengthen brand loyalty over time. It's totally, totally possible. Number 5, flexibility. So we've talked about consistency. You've got to be flexible as well. So effective identity programs require enough consistency to be identifiable, but enough variation to keep things fresh. See, in other words, you can't stand still. So flexibility is great because it allows you to be creative, take some chances, do some things differently, but you must remain consistent to your brand values while doing so. The brand standards are based in consistency, but flexibility allows adjustments, modifications during the process. If something doesn't work, try something else, you know? Old Spice is a great example. Anybody wear Old Spice in here? No. Okay. Old Spice is a fragrance. It's like I guess people used to wear it when they would have a shave. But it's very old-fashioned. It's got quite an old-fashioned sort of vibe to it. My dad used to wear Old Spice. And they realised at one point, Old Spice, that they had to do something because their sales were doing this and their brand perception was kind of a bit old-fashioned. So they teamed up with a fabulous creative agency and they went from this to this. Completely different. Still retains the elements of Old Spice, the same sort of swirly logo and the red. They changed some of their products, they changed their branding and used humour, as you can see, but retained the basic premise of the brand and evolved a great deal along the way. And now they're incredibly successful again. Quite interesting. So brand Kazakhstan must be culturally aware and brave, because it sometimes requires bravery to take those kind of leaps and move with the times. You know, if old tactics aren't working, change them. Are there some out-of-the-box partnerships that could be achieved to try and, employ a bit of flexibility and freshen things up? Take the opportunity to engage with followers in new ways. Are there attributes about your products you've never highlighted? There are lots of tactics you can employ. Number 6, my favourite, employees as ambassadors. There was a guy talking earlier, I don't know if you were here, and he was talking about how easy it was to sack people. Or like it was a good thing to be able to sack people easily. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think employees are your greatest asset. They really are. I mean, they make the brand, they make the company. And you have to look after them. That doesn't mean that you're going to get great work out of bad employees, of course. But you should empower them to live and breathe the brand. You should make them feel valued. You need to make them feel like they're working towards something that's greater than your brand. Zappos is a good example of this, although recently they've been in the press for slightly negative things, but I haven't changed the slide. But they are principally a world-leading example of fostering a enthusiastic enthusiastic team. They have an insights department which is focused exactly on customer service and a level of human service as well, not automated. They've built a very strong reputation for their helpful customer service, and they use all of those images, in social, to get that sense across. If you phone up Zappos to buy some shoes, you'll probably speak to a person, which is a good thing. A lot of people love it. The best advice for brand Kazakhstan that I could find came from a Facebook post of a picture of a book that landed in my feed last week, and I don't even know who wrote it, so I'm sorry about the question marks. But it says, great companies don't hire skilled people and motivate them. People are either motivated or they're not. Unless you give motivated people something to believe in, something bigger than the job to work towards, some goals, they'll motivate themselves to leave, and you'll be stuck with the people who are left. I kind of broadly agree with that. Hello? There we go. Loyalty, number 7. Reward your customers' love. When you've got customers, treat them well, particularly in the digital age. It's so easy just to reach out and acknowledge your customers. If you've got customers writing reviews about your products, if they've taken the time to tweet something or post something or recommend your brand in some way, send them a thank you. Maybe go above and beyond. Send them a goodie bag or some what we call swag. I don't know if you do. Write a review. Use their review on your website. because not only does it reinforce your existing customers' choice to appreciate your brand, it sends a message out to potential customers that this is how you, love your customer base and respect them. It's good stuff. Finally, competitive awareness. So this was a little thing, a little interaction on Twitter. What do you guys think? Domino's or Pizza Hut? Do you guys have Domino's and Pizza Hut, pizza places? Well, Domino's didn't respond very quickly at all. Pizza Hut jumped in and made a little tweet going, "You know our vote." They basically said, "We're listening to you, we like you, ha ha ha, it's a sort of joke." Not a good joke, but a sort of one. But Domino's need to keep a closer eye on this kind of activity because that's the kind of thing that reinforces customer choices. So you want to take your competition as a challenge to improve your own business and create greater value in your own brand. If you're in the same business as other people, which you probably are, watch what they do, learn from their failings. I know it's obvious, but watch their tactics, particularly when everything's transparent in the digital world. Watch their digital tactics, see what takes off, see what doesn't, and learn from it. So all of those 8 points basically tie into, and I hope that this is clear, your brand storytelling, your brand narrative, if you will, your brand personality. And just to sort of round up, I'd like to show you a video, and you may have seen it before, and I'm sorry if you have, but it's a good one, and it really does illustrate the power of brand storytelling. Go on, work. Yeah.
ये मैं, ये यूसुफ, लंगोटिया यार सी मेरा। लाहौर में हमारे घर के सामने एक बड़ा बाग था। उस बाग का गेट बाबा आदम के ज़माने। रोज शाम को हमने वहाँ पतंगे उड़ानी और उसके बाद जाके यूसुफ के दुकान से झझरिया चुरा के खानी।
झझरिया?
मेरा साहब नमस्ते। नमस्ते। मेरी पोती मुंबई वाली। और बेटे क्या हाल चाल है?
चोरी गांठ लेके बांधे।
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
फाजिल स्वीट्स?
हाँ जी। दादाजान, दिल्ली से किसी की कॉल है।
हेलो।
यूसुफ अंकल?
कौन?
जी मैं सुमन बोल रही हूँ दिल्ली से, आपके बचपन के दोस्त बलदेव जी की पोती। याद है बचपन में आप दोनों झझरिया चुरा के खाते थे?
बचपन की तंग गली फिर से कूदे फांदे, छोटी छोटी मीठी चोरी गांठ लेके बांधे। एक पतंग सा उड़ता था परिंदों की तरह, परिंदों की तरह, परिंदों की तरह। एक दौर था मन मन मोर था, एक दौर था मन मन मोर था।
पार्टीशन के वक्त हम रातों रात हिंदुस्तान आ गए।
दादू?
यूसुफ दी बड़ी आजादी।
कागजों की कश्तियों में डूबा रहता था, झांकती खिड़कियों में उलझा रहता था। वो भी क्या दौर था, मन पे न जोर था। एक दौर था मन मन मोर था, एक दौर था मन मन मोर था।
भैया थोड़ा जल्दी।
हाँ जी। हैप्पी बर्थडे यारा। यूसुफ ओए यूसुफ मेरे बल्लू ओए यूसुफ यार।
There you go. So yeah, just to reiterate, it's the brand stories that people really connect with, and it's what lives in the mind, makes purchases much more personal, says something about them, and helps define your brand in their minds. And it helps them decide whether or not your brand fits within their personal brand. So that's your lot. Thank you very much. And if anybody wants to speak to me afterwards, I'm here all week.